Hey, and welcome to the Inclusive Networker Podcast, where we make network marketers, small business owners, and solopreneurs aware of blind spots that could be keeping their networks and businesses small. We give them tips and simple, practical tools to make their businesses more inclusive, and we teach our listeners how to build inclusive communities that support diverse customers, team members, and business partners. So, if you want to authentically build relationships with diverse communities of customers or business partners, you are in the right place. But be warned, you will be challenged, but here's the thing, you won't be judged. I'm your host, Dr. Raymona. I'm a speaker, coach, consultant, public health professor, wife, mom, and a fierce challenger of broken systems that keep people from reaching their highest potential. I'm so excited to be with you on your journey to becoming an inclusive networker. Let's jump right in.
And I am super excited to have someone who I have followed long ago. I've just been watching you and watching the many wonderful things that you do. This is Ashleigh Chanel, and I am so excited to have you as a guest. So let me tell you all a little bit about her, and then we will get started. So Ashleigh Chanel is your friendly name, I'm going to start that over again, Ashleigh. They'll cut that out. I don't want to mess up your bio. All right. Ashleigh Chanel is your friendly virtual neighborhood marketing genie, here to make all of your marketing dreams come true. Ashleigh is a world-traveling lover of charcuterie boards and expert digital marketer. She is also the CEO of Make Your Mark Digital Marketing Agency. She is passionate about helping women business owners to market profitably through innovation, creativity, action, and implementing strategic digital media strategies that transform their business. Through her over a decade journey, she has consistently added monthly 5 and 6-figure revenue to her clients' top line. Product, service, and local businesses alike. This is all done through organic and paid advertising. This positions her clients as authorities in the industries, gains the trust of their ideal audiences, and builds a highly profitable business. So, Ashleigh, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait to talk about what we're going to talk about today. I think it's so important to make sure people are calling in the right people and calling in the abundance of people.
Come on. Yes. I love that. The abundance of people. And so let's talk through that a little bit. First, just tell us a little bit about your business and the main problem that you solve for your customers or your clients.
So in my business, Make Your Mark, it's the digital marketing agency helping business owners who are looking to live their best and bougiest life get passive leads and sales to their business, because I truly believe in giving women options. I think it is so important because the world has given women the message that we don't matter, our bodies don't matter, our interests don't matter, our minds don't matter, and our dreams don't matter. And that is not the case. And we have been playing small for far too long. And I believe if you want to, hire a nanny, if you want to get a doula for 6 months, if you want to, stop doing all the things in your business and go move abroad for 3 months in Spain and 3 months in, Albania or wherever it is that you want to go for months at a time, and be able to raise your kids the way that you want to and be able to live the life that you want to. That's what I'm here for.
I love that. And I talked to another guest before about just taking up more space, right? Because we've been taught and told that we shouldn't take up as much space. And so you're saying the same thing, is like, how do we really expand as women and then live our full life out? So that is amazing. I love it.
Absolutely.
So when you think about what's one challenge, you faced, or either that you see women face as they're growing their businesses. And I know that I have done a lot of your programs with ads and different things like that you do, that you are so very skilled at. But when you are seeing, women like me or other women in our inclusive networker audience, what's one challenge that you have either faced when you're growing your network, or what have you seen them face as they were growing their networks? And then how do we solve it?
So many things. I feel like I don't even know where to start. Oh my goodness. Okay. So one of the things initially that was, and I say that I grew up inside of the online business space. And the reason I say that is because I've seen like the gamut, right? And the problem initially was that there were no stock photos of people outside of white women. And then when there were stock photos, they looked like stock photos, and it was annoying. And then it's like, okay, so where are the women with hijabs? Where are the Black women with straight hair? Because like, you know, there was the whole thing about going natural, and now everything you see are Black women with curly hair, but I still wear my hair straight sometimes. So it's like, we want to be able to see ourselves in the marketing. So where are the Southeast Asian women? Where are the Eastern Asian women? Where are the Afro-Latino people? Where are the Latino people? Like, what is going on? Like, that was such an issue. And I feel like it's still an issue. It's so much better now, but I feel like it was such an issue. And I wanted to make sure during that time, I went to go find photos that looked natural. And I still, in my programs and in my marketing, and on my websites, I make sure to have the gamut of skin colors and the gamut of not even religions, but just making sure that everyone feels seen, you know what I mean? Or sees someone that relates to them, because it really sucks. And it's really annoying when you can't find someone who looks like you. And we are in a digital age where there is no excuse. I truly believe there's no excuse to only have people who look like you in your marketing. I really don't believe that.
Come on. Yes.
I've been to 35 countries so far, and learning about cultures is very important to me. And I'm not saying that people need to travel, but at this point, there is no excuse for you to only be hanging around people who look like you. There's no excuse for you to only be reading things by people who look like you. There's no excuse for you to only interact with people who look like you. It's so weird to me. Why is it that you don't know why people wear hijabs, and that it is a choice? Like, why is that a question, right? Like, why is it that we don't understand what Afro-Latino is? Like, why do you not know? I mean, and I understand, like, not everyone's going to go as deep as I do, because culture is one of the things that's very important to me. I really want to learn about other people, but we're in a position where we are around a lot of people who are first generation, a lot of things. So I know a lot about first generation people from all over the world, because I have a lot of friends who are first generation, or also I'll call them ground zero because they moved from wherever they came from. So I just think it's so important for us to learn and to read about, like, let's stop watching local news. How about we watch BBC, BBC World News or CNN World? Like, let's not watch local news or just United States news. I think it's very important for us, because then that way we can expand our minds. But I can talk about this for hours.
No, speak on it. I love it because I think that's the first thing, is like, how do you get out of your own box, right? Out of our own little narrow lens that we have been in since we were born. And so the way that we do that is we've got to experience other people. And I love this for our network marketers in the community. And so as we're talking as I've been talking to network marketers, I've heard a lot that the company doesn't have things that look like me in the advertising, right? There's not a lot of images, right, in either the catalog or of people at the top of the company, or just in social media things that they put out in general. It's very, stiff stock type of stuff that you were talking about. And so as we talk to them, some of them, and think about what is it that they can do with their own social media, right? Don't depend on the company. What are some tips that you might give, people that are doing either, just online business in general? But I really want to have this for my network marketers because they say this all the time. So tell us some things that we can do.
So the first one, which is going to maybe get some eyes rolled, is why are we with that company?
Okay.
I know that's something that people are going to say, well, I like the products. I like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Okay.
Integrity is very important to me. Okay. Integrity and feeling comfortable. And a lot of the reasons why I have clients, I've served clients in, I think, about 42 countries.
Okay.
The reason why my clients come to me is because I understand their market and their people. And because I'm also going to seek out understanding their people as well, which is, I've gotten the compliment that other marketers and other ads people do not do. So it's important that you feel comfortable where you are, because if they don't care about you, why would they listen to anything that you're saying about them not having any pictures? And then they go find a picture just to satisfy the quota. And it looks like it's the person is doing something that people don't normally do, or it doesn't look natural. So it's looking at the company and making sure that you feel like there are people that they bring you up regardless of what race you are, et cetera. So, and that you feel comfortable. So that's my first thing. And I know it's like, well, dang, I mean, I'm in the whole company, right? I'm invested, et cetera. But sometimes there are some things that are more important. But if we are in a company that we like, if we are in a company that we like, it is you partnering with other people. Like you can go live on Instagram with other people who don't look like you, who do look like you, showing that there are people at the company who look like you, but also who have the same values, because not everyone at your company, has the same values as you. Because if we look at someone who started to talk about high vibrational versus low vibrational plates, if we want to go there, that's not a value that I would never join her team because of the way she talks about people, right? Or the way she talks to people or talks at them, right? So what you're going to want to do is make sure that you are partnering with people and collaborating with people and networking with people who have the same values as you. The value alignment needs to be important. And that's how you're going to bring in your customers, right? And that way, when your customers feel like, oh, well, not everything that they talk about is related to somebody who's blonde haired and blue eyed, right? Or is related to someone who looks just like them or just like me. But, like I said, culture is very important to me. I look at that when I partner with people. I look at who do they work with? Does everyone in their program look like them? That tells me a little bit. And that's a
red flag, as they say, red flag, right?
I don't know if it's a red flag. It's a yellow flag, because I'm going to ask the question.
Okay. Yes.
I'm going to ask, why is it that you only, it doesn't seem like, why does it seem like I'm the only Black person here? What are you doing? Right. So that is a value for me. So you're also going to have to collaborate with people who also value diversity.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think that's one of the big things, is that when we're thinking about companies, what we're realizing is that people are looking for the whole story. Somebody else that I was interviewing was saying, this is not just about one story anymore. People are craving the whole story. They're craving stories that include them. They're craving the work that looks like them, right? And so as we're thinking through this and thinking about what people can do if the whole company is not there, because I think a lot of times making full company change, it takes a lot of time. And so as we're thinking through, what can the individual do? I think that what you're saying is right. How do you do things within yourself to make sure that you're interacting with different people? How do you show on your social media that you're interacting with people that don't just look like you? And how do we expand our lens and really expand our mindset so that we're, digging deeper into the cultures of the people that we say we want to work with? Because some people say they want diverse teams, right? They want to work with diverse people, but they're not willing to do what you said and go that extra mile, right?
Yeah, something else that was interesting to me is I was on Twitter and I have a friend who's in DEI, and I saw a tweet and it said she was very disappointed because she ended up realizing that, the person said something like, I participated in DEI because I hired so-and-so, the person who tweeted, and she was a Black woman. And she felt disappointed because she felt like they were hiring her based off of her merit or whatever, and not to hit a quota, right? So then I asked my friend, who is, I believe she is half white, half Mexican, and she has her grandparent or her grandfather was a migrant worker in California. And so she was first generation. So I was asking her, I was like, how upset should we be? And she was just like, in DEI, which I feel like you would understand, it's like, you feel how you feel, and there's no one way to feel or be or do something, right? Especially when it comes to diversity, inclusion, and equity. And my question was, how should we take this? Because it's like, so in case you are the quota, what are you going to do while you're there? Are you going to be upset, or are you going to bring up the rest of the people with you and let that be their bad and move forward and say, I'm going to capitalize on this moment? Or are you going to say, this is not okay, and not take the opportunity? So I don't believe there's a right or wrong when it comes to that. I believe it's like you have to decide what it is that you want to do and how you're going to move within these things. Because otherwise, if you're not going to take the opportunity, at that point, it's like you have to speak up, speak out, and make sure things start to change. Are you going to take on that responsibility to do that? And this is a whole company, right? This is a whole network. So it was just interesting. It doesn't really answer a question or say anything. That's perfect. That's perfect, because I think that is what you're saying is what's happening, especially in network marketing. Some small businesses, people are coming in and they're seeing that there are deficits. They're seeing that there are people that are not at the top that look like them, and so there is a choice. Do I push and try to make sure that somebody else that behind me can come up and that they have an easier road with this? Or do I say, people don't look like me, so I'm out, right? So if we say people don't look like me and I'm out, then nothing ever changes. But what we have to decide is it worth the effort, right? I always think about energy. Is it worth my energy? Is it worth my mental health, my physical health? Is it really going to be something that is necessary for things to move forward? And I often tell people, our ancestors, they didn't see people oftentimes that looked like them, but they were willing to go into those spaces to make a difference, to make it different for us. And so we have to make that choice. Is it something where we're going to go in and say, I'm going to put the energy forth in this? Or do we say, we've seen enough, there's enough evidence that nothing's going to change, and let me move on with something else, right? Yeah, it's so interesting. And that's also what I meant by value alignment. So I love my white friends because they care and they are aware and they make an effort, right? And I think that's a lot of what we can ask for, and just also doing better. They care about culture as well, and they are interested in learning. So I was in a virtual mixer initially. I think I was one of, I want to say, because I did count, I think I was one of 5 black women, which was cool. And it was one of 6 women of color. And I was like, okay. And I think there were about 20 or so women in the room. And I invited one of my friends who was white, and I said, hey, do you want to come? This seems like a good, opportunity, or, whatever. And she was like, well, how diverse is it? And she didn't want to go unless the room was basically half and half. I told her, I don't know how many people of color are going to be there, but I think it would be fun for you to be there. And I love that you said that. And I brought that to the host of the meeting. I said, my friend does not want to come if it's not visibly diverse. She was like, well, these are the people that I invited. I'm not sure if they're all going to be able to come, but I understand and I appreciate that, et cetera, et cetera. So it's who are you talking to? Do they care? Do they actually care? Were they inviting people of color before they even, whether they show up or not? Were they invited? Right? That is the conversation, because that's something that you want to think about. Because I'm over here looking for women in other. I'm doing a bundle, and I want to make sure that everybody is visible, because I feel like Black women are extremely vocal about not being seen, and Black people in general are vocal about not being seen. And I had this conversation again. I had a conversation with someone on Twitter. I did not know her. She said something about Latino women doing something, or I forgot what it was, but I asked her, I was like, this is really me asking with no malice. Do you feel like it's because you're not loud enough? I was like, because compared to Black women, we are loud about injustice. And I don't see you guys as much as I hear us or see us. And I'm around a lot of different people. So I feel like the value alignment is so important in understanding what matters to people. And are you around people who are white, who care, who are actually going to sit and listen and take action? It's not just about sitting and listening to you and being like, oh, that sucks. It's about, oh, that sucks. You're right. F that. I'm going to, what are we going to, I'm going to, not even what are we going to do? What am I going to do as the person with privilege to help change this? Are you around those people? You have to seek those people out. Those are the people who you partner with, who are going to make sure that, who aren't going to be like, I feel uncomfortable because I'm the only white person on the stage. What? Yeah. That's weird, because Black women, Latino women, Asian women are usually one of few or the only. Yeah. So, and that was for me. I grew up in a white neighborhood. I was always the only Black kid in class. You know what I mean? So we had to be comfortable with that. It's no longer the case. We no longer have to accept being comfortable being the only in the room.
Yeah. And I love this. We're off the, script or the different questions, but we're going to stay on this because I think this is so good. So let's think through this. So when we are thinking about marketing and bringing people, as we're moving along this DEI conversation, there are people in the very beginning stages, right? They may invite us and we may be the only one. So how do we navigate those spaces, you think? So if someone is inviting us to something, they start to realize that, oh, I have this bit of awareness now that I have not been as inclusive as I need to have been. And I'm going to start to open myself up more to diversity, right? So when they start to do that, they approach us. We come into this room that is not diverse, and we can clearly see that it's not already diverse. What are the types of things that we need to be thinking through, right? Because a lot of times people will do like what you said your friend did and say, if it's not already there, I'm not doing this, right? But how do we navigate that where somebody may be at the very beginning stages and they want to increase their inclusive networks and they want to start to build their business around the idea of inclusion? What are your thoughts on how we navigate that?
Speak up, open your mouth, close mouth, don't be dead. The reason, and I forgot, the reason why I brought that story up about the virtual mixer was because I was in a room full of white women who were making multi 6 figures and 7 figures. And I said, at the end of the meeting, she always says, everyone gets a chance to have an ask. I did not think about it, but I prayed before I did it. And I was like, Lord, give me the words, because my ask is that you do not enter rooms unless it's diverse, that you do not get on stages unless it's diverse. And that not only do you not get on them, but you tell the person why you are not accepting. Because I was like, as a white woman, you have the power to bring other people with you, right? So, or bring people into the rooms that other cultures are not inside of at the moment. So I'm asking you, that was my ask in front of 20 to 30 white women. I said, it was nerve wracking, man. Oh my freaking goodness. But I was like, it's so important for me to say this right now in front of these people who have influences of 50,000 people. Like, these were women who had massive followings, right? And massive impact across moms, across business owners, across, different industries. And I was like, it's important for me to say this right now, because there are so many more of us who are intelligent, who are experts in their field, who your audience needs access to, right? So at the beginning, on both sides, speak up. Tell if you are at the beginning and you are like, I want to become more diverse and have equity and inclusion in my business, say that. I'm at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to make an excuse around the fact that why you're at the beginning. Like, I don't need a sob story of, well, I grew up with, like, I don't matter. The point is, right now you're starting, and I'm okay with that. Okay? And you don't need, nobody's going to argue with you about that, right? I mean, someone might, but don't, and also do not let someone's feelings or emotions discourage you from moving forward, because there's so much injustice across the board, but especially when it comes to African American people. The history and the pain runs deep. So you might catch something, some history. Yeah. Right. So don't let that discourage you. Listen. Yeah. And just tell them that they are heard and that they're seen. You don't even need to apologize, because you can't help what your ancestors did. So that's not even a question. But what you need to do is say, hey, this is where I am. I am at the starting point, and I would love to make sure that I am moving in the right direction because I care. Not because you want to hit a quota, because you want to be seen as something, but because if this is something that you care about, you need to let us know that this is something that I care about, and I want to do better and do well and do better than everyone else is doing, because it's important for me and important for this industry, et cetera. And my people need to see you, meet you, and your people. So please, also another thing is tell them to invite someone. Tell them to introduce you to someone, and also do coffee chats before you even have people in your, what do you call it? In your community, or talking to your audience, your network. Yeah, talk to them for 30 minutes. Like, set up a call for them for 30 minutes before they even get access to your audience, so that you can make sure that your values are aligned. I think that's extremely important. Yeah. And so, as we're thinking through this, and if a person wants to be more of an inclusive networker, right? They're feeling stuck. They're wondering how they even start this process. What are 3 characteristics or 3, really actionable things that the audience can do to become a more inclusive networker, an inclusive networker or marketer? I'm combining words here, so that they can really, really start the authentic journey, right, of being an inclusive networker versus just doing things, as we said, to check a box. Right. 1 second.
No worries. We'll edit it out.
So you said 3 things that business owners can do right now to become more diverse in their business.
Or become a more inclusive networker.
Okay. A more inclusive networker. Okay. That's a really good question. A more inclusive networker and just having more diversity. Actively seeking out, like, go look for the Black people, the Latin people, the Middle Eastern people, the Arabic, whatever, like, go look for them on Instagram. Go find them. Go look for people to follow on LinkedIn, and then also see who's following them. Have conversations. Like, none of this stuff is going to fall in your lap, right? And sometimes you might not get the responses that you want, and sometimes you might not get any responses. Keep asking. And then when you meet people, get on the phone with them, talk to them, see what their values are, and then ask them if there's anyone else that you should know. Because I was looking for Arabic people and Southeast Asian people for my bundle. I know people in my network as far as people that I know, but they aren't in business, right? And I guess I could have asked them, but I also, through one of the virtual mixers, I met someone who was Southeast Asian, and and I asked her, I was like, where are the rest of you? And she laughed and she was like, yeah, you're right. And so she gave me other people to follow. And I was like, awesome, wonderful. I like that. That's wonderful. And I'm so happy that she was open to it. And I'm so happy that she introduced me to these people. And now my job is to, after I follow them, is to reach out to them and say, hey, so-and-so introduced me to you. I would love to get to know you. I'd love to have a chat with you. And I'd love to figure out how we can both benefit from collaborating and partnering with each other. None of this is going to, like, they weren't going to find me just because I had a picture of somebody with a hijab. And my friend who introduced me, she doesn't wear hijab. But just because, I also follow Muslim Girl on Instagram because I'm interested in the culture and what they're going through, so that I'm not insensitive and I don't look like an idiot or a jerk or whatever when I say something, learning about, their Eid, like, and understanding what their holidays mean, as well as even, Jewish, or like, I have conversations, like, I ask questions that people don't really want to ask. Even on Clubhouse, I was talking to this Jewish woman who has money from, family money. And I asked her, I was like, what do you feel like the difference is between, I was just asking questions that I wanted to know the answers to, and see how they would answer. And when I feel like I align with people and their values, then I'm going to reach out and say, hey, let's chat. Or know that they're in the same area, meet up. I mean, it's not hard. I mean, it just takes effort. And like you said, I call what you said about energy and effort, I call that your return on effort, your ROE. What's your return on effort and energy? And that was a great return on energy and effort for me to get on a coffee chat with this one woman who was Indian. And then I have another chat with another woman who I believe is Indian, but I'm not sure yet. And then, having them introduce me to other people, because it's important for me. It is important to me to make sure that everyone is seen, because I grew up around many different races. And I grew up around, or when I went to college, I went to the most diverse, college in America, 1 or 2, depending on the year. And we had 151 countries. Oh no, I forgot how many countries. Because anyway, but yeah, I think it was 151 countries we had at the school. And so just being around that, and it's important for me to do that and make sure that people are seen, because I know how it feels to not be.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And so as we think about this, we know that it takes work. Nobody has made it. Nobody has arrived. And we have to realize that every day it's something that we have to do to challenge our own assumptions, to start to learn about somebody else, to reach out to somebody else. And so that's how we grow these big, diverse networks. But that's how we do it in an authentic way. Right. And so thank you for that, Ashleigh. I think that is really, really just a true, just actionable easy step that we can take, right? It's not about some type of typical hard, drawn out process. It's daily little actions that we take just to get to know each other. And it's what we would do if we were in real life. It's what we need to do online, right? So for you, what is your next big project? How can it help the Inclusive Networker audience to build their networks or to grow or do anything like that with their businesses?
Well, my current project that I'm working on is moving people from active income to passive income. And the one thing that is so important to me is that I truly believe it is my obligation to showcase what it looks like when a Black woman is wealthy. And because generational wealth is important to a lot of people, but when you see generational wealth, sometimes people, they still feel some type of angst around it. Like, well, it's not supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to be this easy. It's not supposed to, I'm supposed to struggle here or there, or it needs to be a little bit hard or something like that. And I feel like it's extremely important for me to showcase and work with Black women who are doing well, and for myself to become as wealthy as possible so that I can give opportunities to people. But one of the things that I do is I have a course to help people run ads. And what that does is it gets you in front of more people. It allows you to stop marketing to a bubble, because I feel like most people, especially women, suck at marketing themselves.
Yeah.
And especially women of color, they do not do a good job of marketing themselves at all. And investing in yourself and in your business is going to be the most important thing that you do. And obviously you need a strategy and everything like that, but stop marketing to a bubble. Your friends and family are not your retirement plan, and they never will be. And I think the sooner you understand that and stop getting your feelings hurt by your friends and family not supporting you, the better you're going to do and the faster you're going to get there.
Yes, that is a quotable. We are going to quote it. Your friends and family are not your retirement plan. Come on.
But yeah, I want to start doing, so like happy hours. So, I mean, just reach out. If you want to be part of the happy hour, I was just going to send it out to my list and say, hey, I really would love to get to know you and see what's going on in your world, and bring a cocktail or some water and let's chat.
Yeah. So where can we find you then?
Instagram. You can find me at Ashleigh Chanel on Instagram. I'm the LEIGH Ashleigh, ASHLEIGH CHANEL on Instagram, and all my links are in my bio.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so very much for listening to this episode of The Inclusive Networker. And thank you to my fabulous guest, Ashleigh Chanel. You will find her information in the show notes, and we will see you on the next episode of The Inclusive Networker. See you later.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Inclusive Networker. You can find out all the information for our fabulous guest today in the show notes. But don't forget to subscribe to the Inclusive Networker podcast and to look out for a new episode each week on YouTube and wherever you enjoy your podcast. This is your host, Dr. Raymona. And as always, remember, I see you and I'm cheering you on. And I dare you to defy limits. See you on the next episode of The Inclusive Networker.